Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It's a truism in the intelligence services that once is happenstance, twice coincidence, three times is enemy action. And so when you have a political party like the SNP who get things wrong, not once or twice, not occasionally, not even often, but every single time, you have to wonder if it's deliberate. Well, once again, they've been plunged into another chaotic period of indecision and wrongthink because they had a decision to make over the Rosebank oil field. And yet again, once again, to the surprise of nobody, they've made the wrong decision. They went anti. They went, we don't want it open. We want it closed because we want to have green credentials because that's important to the very, very tiny minority that vote green. And of course, the people of Scotland have said, bugger off. We want it open because we want energy security, we want jobs, we want the economy to grow, and especially in the northeast, absolutely. And so once again, Humza Yousaf and the Greens have made the wrong decision. They've gone against the will of the people, and they're going to have to pay the consequence. Oh dear, what a shame. Let's have a look at this story and see why Humza Yousaf led yet another wrong decision for the party of stupid morons that can get nothing right. Here goes. You know, Humza and the SNP really do need to start pitching to their audience, They need to be starting to look and say, do you know what we need to do is grow the economy, provide energy security, ensure that those jobs we create are there for generations and that we can protect and maintain communities rather than doing what they are doing at the moment, which is the complete opposite of all those things. But that's because it's a Green government wagging an SNP tail. The SNP aren't the government of Scotland, the Greens are, and the Greens are against all these things. They don't want growth, they don't want an economy, they want misery, they want poverty. The trouble is when you get that, things get very bad indeed very quickly. No taxpayers, you haven't got an NHS, you haven't got education, you've got nothing. Just as the Greens want, because they, of course, are hateful Marxists. And that's what's going to happen. But fortunately, the UK government has made the decision, and the people of Scotland, the vast majority of whom agree with it. So it's another poll blow for Humza Yousaf and the SNP, right in the middle of their conference, as Scots back Rishi Sunak on Rosebank. So imagine Scotland was independent and they'd had all this, and they say, right, we're closing it. No more Rosebank. And then all of a sudden, slowly over time, Aberdeen fades away. There's no more there. All those people in Aberdeen unemployed, and so you have to take the taxpayers' money and pay all that unemployment up in Aberdeen. And so the 2 million taxpayers in Scotland will have to be taxed maybe double as the amount. And then of course all that money's not going into all the shops and all that, and the bars. They're not buying new cars. A whole country grinds down. The economy shrinks, and goes. Anyone who's got enough money to get out gets out. What are you left with? You're left with a wasteland, a desolate wasteland, which suits the Greens and the SNP, but not, I think, the good people of Scotland. So they are making their feelings very clear. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has been dealt another poll blow with the SNP shown to be out of step with the Scottish public opinion on North Sea oil and gas, as well as, and you can put a bracket there, as well as just about every other policy they've got. According to a new survey, the majority of Scots back the UK government's decision to grant a licence to drill in the Rosebank field near Shetland. It was confirmed last month that the green light had been given by North Sea Transition Authority. Over $3 billion will be invested in the field, which is expected to yield 350 million barrels of oil. A government official said it would help the UK on the road to net zero, as well as boosting energy security and safeguarding jobs. But the SNP figures were quick to criticise the decision, with Mr Yousaf accusing the UK of climate denial and describing the decision as disappointing. No, here's the climate denial. That you deny the fact that Scotland or Britain as a whole makes any difference whatsoever. We don't. Nothing. Not 1% of 1%. Seriously, we make zero difference. Or at least we probably make a difference, but it's going to be so small as to be not only negligible, but actually unmeasurable. It is unmeasurably small. China, one country alone, 25%, a quarter of all the stuff in one country. What do you think Britain's doing? Britain's clean. Unbelievable, isn't it? And you want denial, SNP. Anyway, government officials... Oh, we're just done, mate. Sorry. Scots don't agree. There we go. But the Scots don't agree. According to the Savanta poll for the Scotsman, 51% of Scots back the call, compared to just 22% who are opposed to it. So, a massive majority. Savanta interviewed 1,002 Scottish adults between October the 6th and 11th, with the remaining 27% saying they weren't sure. Even so, it's still the vast majority by the time it all wibbles out. All age groups backed Rosebank, although opposition was strongest amongst those aged 25 to 34 because they're too young to understand. They certainly don't understand economics. The poll also showed support for Rishi Sunak's decision to roll back many environmental policies, with 53% pleased with the delay in the ban of sale of petrol and diesel cars, 51% backing the delay on fossil fuel boiler ban, and 38% supporting the removal of energy efficient requirements on rental properties, with just 31% opposing. Because all these things are, one, very, very expensive, and two, unachievable. Anyway, the Scottish Conservative Shadow Cabinet Secretary for Net Zero Energy and Transport, Douglas Lumsden MSP, said the study showed how much the SNP Green government are out of step with public opinion. Nobody is surprised with that. I'm not going to go all the rest of it because it's getting to the end anyway, but I will just round off in here. I'm going to say that actually Rishi's got it right. Delay. There's no obligation yet. I mean, it's only a law. Laws can be reversed and cancelled. There's no issue on that. But certainly, having electric cars by 2035 is impossible. It's not just difficult. It's not just, people are going to resist it and that. No, it's actually impossible from an infrastructure point of view. You're talking 12 years, less now, 11 years. Effectively 11 years. Do you think in 11 years we're going to build 6 nuclear power stations? Because that's what it's going to take to power all these cars. And do you think that we're going to have 300,000 chargers all around the country in 11 years? And do you think that homes for people who live up in tower blocks are all going to have each individual power outlet for each car? Do you think that's going to happen? No, it's not. Also, and the most important thing, and this is the one that everyone overlooks, is the grid. The national grid has taken 150 years to be built. That now needs to be upgraded because you're going to pull all that extra energy down by charging all these cars. How much do you think that's going to cost? Top of that, you've got the running costs. There's going to be hundreds upon hundreds of billions of pounds having to be spent on the grid. And again, that's just the construction cost. Then you've got the upgrades, you've got the transfers, you've got the maintenance, you've got all of this. All those power plays. Now, of course, you ain't just putting the thing in, you've got to run the cables. You've got to run the whole cables everywhere. And it's all got to be very, very high ampage cable, very expensive stuff. You've got to have safety cutouts at various levels. You can't just run this down off a 240 volt bloody plug. This is all there. This is all multi-phasic supplies. It's not cheap. It's trillions of pounds. But I'm sure that they know best. And they've only got 12 years, well, less now, 11 and a half years. And it's all got to be done. Taxes are going to be through the roof, aren't they? Who comes up with these bright ideas? Anyway, I shall stop there and I shall come up. Now, you're going to have to find this money. I've looked at the numbers from EDF, and this reactor they're building down in the southwest of England, by the time it's finished, it's going to cost somewhere in the region of £40 billion. And we need 6 more of these. You're talking £250 billion just to build these reactors. There's the running costs. You've got the maintenance. You've got all this on top of that. Like I've already mentioned, the national grid's an absolute nightmare, because you're going to have to upgrade everything there. Just putting in the 300,000 chargers and then bringing the cables in all the way up there, that's billions upon billions of pounds. By the time this is finished, you're going to be looking somewhere in the region of £1 trillion to make no difference whatsoever. But that's £1 trillion out of tax, out of money that would otherwise go into the community, go into the economy, going into charities, going into caring for and putting food on your family's table, going into buying a new home, going into all the things that it needs to go into. But no, it's all got to go into electric cars, which are yet as yet an unproven technology, which may not even be necessary because they've jumped on this bandwagon without any kind of thought whatsoever, and will make zero difference to the world. Trillions. It's no wonder people are against it. And that's why we need to keep the oil going, because electricity isn't going to cut it. Not for at least another 50 years. At least. But hey, what do I know? What do I know? So yeah, good news for Rosebank. Keep it open. Open up them all. Open them all up. We're going to need them. And what's the point of not opening it? Because you're still going to get the oil in, but just now you're going to get it from the other side of the world and have to be transported around. That's not very good for the economy, for the environment, is it? These people are morons. Please God, can we stop voting morons into power? Anyway, I shall stop now. Thank you very much for watching. I shall just remind you that the SNP just really don't understand anything. And they've jumped on a bandwagon without any idea of what they're talking about. Till next time, stay safe, stay well. Don't vote SNP, please. Bye.